Dick Bowers was 23 and had been married for just 3 weeks when he enlisted following Pearl Harbor. Bowers had read in the Des Moines newspaper about some experimental Navy battalions being formed with experienced construction workers, so he and 3 other Montezuma residents went to be interviewed.
I was enlisted as a second-class carpenter's mate and told that I probably should have been an officer or a chief because I was capable, but they needed more workers and less bosses to get the job done. I was enlisted and deferred that day till August when the 12th Battalion was formed in Iowa. And we were sent to Norfolk for basic training at an old Army post that was very dilapidated called Fort Allen. Several hundred were detached to a place called Battalion X from the 12th Battalion, which was situated at Little Creek, where we learned to handle landing craft made out of 5 by 5 by 7 boxes, and then we'd put them together, sail them with a big Chrysler Marine engine, and take them apart the next day, and another crew would put them back together. It was a very efficient way to ship and handle small docking procedures.
These sailor builders became known as the Seabees, short for Construction Battalion, with the motto Construimus Bituimus, we build, we fight, hence the nickname the Fighting Seabees. Bowers said it was a real learning experience for the 225 men who were among the first Fighting Seabees.
We did not know where the base was, how to spell it or pronounce it hardly, and some dedicated trainers took over. They did their best to transform 225 old-time construction workers, 18 to 55 years old, how to do calisthenics at 5 a.m., march with his left foot forward the first 2 hours, carry a 500-pound back over hill and dale for 5 miles, then crawl in the dirt and the gravel under a live fire for 100 yards. Not bad for the shape we were in. Most met in the closest watering hole then until 12 o'clock, ready to do it all over the next day. A typical construction worker's day. It has made old men tired and young men wondering what the heck they were doing there. But if we knew we could do anything we were told to do in any place we were sent.
They were sent then to the South Pacific, specifically New Caledonia, an island east of Australia that was to become a major staging point for the Allies. Bowers said the Seabees were in charge of getting the island ready to be that operations base.
We worked on our base for about a week trying to get it in ship shape so we could serve food and get out of tents and onto some hard boards. And about that time, the Admiral of Hospital NOB came for material and some men to speed the critical hospital construction as hundreds of injured were flooding the tents and he needed help at once. The next day, about 100 Seabees were hard at it, building metal units holding 40 injured. The first week we organized and connected about 1 unit. The next week we finished 2 or 3, and from that on we finished 2 or more till we had over 1,000 beds within 5 weeks. Our commander finally got us back to the base, and a company of 250 replaced us, and it took them 2 weeks to build 1 unit for 40 people. The Admiral then ordered us to show up for a day, he called it a reward party. And he was giving this because we'd helped to solve his problems efficiently and quickly. We had breakfast, lunch, and dinner, all you could drink or eat, and he was with us all day with help and delivered us back to the base with his driver to make sure no problems occurred, plus a recommendation from SOPAC on a job well done. This made us very pleased at how hard we'd worked and the efficiency that we were able to put into our activities, and that's one thing I thought I was pretty good at. I'd been in the business quite a few years.
After 2 years in New Caledonia, Bowers and his fellow Seabees found themselves headed to Okinawa, a large island just 340 miles from the Japanese mainland, where some of the bloodiest fighting of the war occurred.
Found out that we were going to build another base there for the invasion of Japan, and it was located on Okinawa. But it was kind of amazing because our first commander, who was a first lieutenant when we first went out, was now in command of the 6th Battalion as a full commander. And for some reason he knew my name real well, and a few of us found out that a group going to Point Barrow would get 2 extra months of leave before they had to go, so we signed up for it. And about 2 days later, I was called into his office, and he said to me, he said, "Dick, you're going with me. Quit trying to get out of it. And I'll make sure you got your chief's rating before we get there," and I did. And he was an easy, good engineer and fine to work for. Except for the kamikazes at night and the bombs anytime, we did get a lot of work done in Okinawa. Then the typhoons would come along and knock down about everything we did, and we'd start over. We were excited when the big bombs hit Japan, because soon after work almost stopped. The personnel, older personnel, were sent home, and I was moved to 3 different battalions before I was sent back home, almost to 3 years later, which I enjoyed doing, and I thought I did make a difference, and I was glad I was able to serve.
Bowers returned home to Montezuma and continued his work, which started in Iowa and was honed as a CB in the construction business. That career continued in his hometown until his retirement.